She leaned over the billionaire's unconscious wife, latex gloves trembling slightly as her colleagues watched from the sidelines, not helping, just judging. Seconds mattered. The patient was crashing. But no one expected her, the only black doctor in the ER, to take charge. When the monitor flatlined and the room froze, Dr. Amina Bell made a call that would either save a life or end her career. What happened next silenced every doubter in that room. This is the story of a nurse's courage and a bank call that changed everything. Hey story lovers, are you enjoying our new story theme? Then go ahead and hit that like button. Dr. Amina Bell moved through the hospital corridors like clockwork. A seasoned emergency physician, she'd spent years earning respect in a field that hadn't always welcomed her. Her days were long and intense, filled with pressure, life and death decisions, and silent judgments from colleagues who questioned her place despite her excellence. But Amina didn't flinch. She let her work speak louder than whispers. That Tuesday began no differently. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as she checked charts and stabilized patients. Still, beneath the surface of her calm professionalism was a quiet weight. Being the only black lead physician in the ER meant always being twice as good, twice as composed. Then, just before noon, chaos struck. A woman, white, unconscious, unresponsive, was wheeled in by a frantic security team. The name on the intake sheet made Amina freeze for just a second. She knew who this woman was. Everyone in the city did. The woman on the gurney was Lydia Whitmore, wife of banking tycoon Charles Whitmore, one of the wealthiest men in the state. Amina sprang into action, her hands moving faster than her thoughts. Vitals were dropping fast, airway obstruction. Cyanosis is setting in. She had seconds. But as she leaned in to intubate, she noticed the eyes of 5 senior physicians watching. From across the room, arms crossed, faces tight with skepticism. 3 male doctors in pristine coats and 2 women from the surgical wing stood frozen, offering no assistance. She could feel the doubt pressing in from all sides. Not one moved to help. One muttered something under his breath about waiting for Dr. Harper, but Amina didn't have time to wait. The woman would die. With a deep breath, Amina inserted the laryngoscope, adjusting for visibility. A tricky obstruction appeared. One wrong move could collapse the airway entirely. Sweat traced her temple. The others whispered. Still, she pressed forward. When the monitor let out a sharp, continuous beep, the room spun into a panic. But Amina stayed locked in. CPR. Administer meds. Her every motion screamed urgency. Finally, a pulse returned. The monitors settled. But instead of praise, Amina was met with stony silence. One doctor shook his head and walked away. Another scribbled something into a chart without a word. No one thanked her. She saved the billionaire's wife. But in that sterile room filled with bias, she felt like she had just committed a crime. 2 days later, as Amina reviewed night shift logs in the break room, the hospital director rushed in, flustered and pale. We just got a call. He stammered. From Whitmore Bank. Staff gathered, confused. Apparently, Charles Whitmore himself had called, demanding to know who had saved his wife. He hadn't trusted the hospital's report, so he contacted the bank's surveillance firm to pull footage from their private lobby entrance. What did he see? One doctor, Amina, took charge while the others stood idle. Now he wanted names. Not to punish, but to reward. Moments later, an executive from his office confirmed a 7-figure donation had been wired to the hospital, specifically tagged to expand leadership roles for underrepresented women in medicine. The same staff who once watched her in silence now looked stunned. But Amina, she just went back to work like she always had. Dear audience, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to give it a like. It really helps. Word spread quickly. Some whispered in shame. Others came forward with awkward praise, but none could ignore what had just happened. Amina's bravery didn't just save a life. It exposed a truth hiding in plain sight, that racism in healthcare isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent in action. Charles Whitmore's donation opened doors for future doctors who looked like Amina. But what stayed with her most wasn't the recognition. It was the moment she realized how close her patient came to dying, because others didn't trust her hands. Still, she kept showing up, day after day, patient after patient, because for Amina, justice wasn't a headline, it was a heartbeat. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories and new videos.